and thanks for logging on to our latest webinar. Tonight we've got some really good people to talk to. I'm going to let them all introduce themselves. I'll just talk about myself for a second. I'm very good at that. My name's Clive Robert. I'm the CEO of DR Studios, and I'm also one of the directors up at Train2Game. And as I said, we have three brilliant guests, and I'll let them introduce themselves. John?
Hi, my name's John Hare. I'm used to own Sensible Software, which was quite a big development studio in the 80s and 90s. We had a bunch of hit games. In fact, we just had three of our old games, Sensible Soccer, Cannon Fodder and Whizball, voted in the top 100 games of all time by Games TM very recently, which has been nice for us. These days I work as a games consultant. I've just finished working on Doctor Who on the Wii for Asylum Entertainment, which is out of Christmas. If you've got kids, get it. I own a company called Train Studios. We self-publish iPhone games, iPad games, and Sony Minis and different platforms. And we just got a game out, actually, hopefully tomorrow, called Shoot to Kill. And then we have also Speedball 2 Evolution we're working on next month, and so on. So, a bunch of different activities going on.
And you've been around for a while?
I've been around 25 years in this industry, so I've seen the rough and the smooth of it. Yeah.
Dave?
Hi, my name's Dave Sharp. I am currently working at DR Studios to deliver the student placement scheme and the incubation scheme. So I also have a long gaming background, but added to that I've got a more recent background in small business development and incubation. So 66 companies through the Digital City project in the northeast of England, and just doing the early kind of work to make sure that the placement scheme and the incubation scheme get off to a good start.
Brilliant. And Tony, I mean, he needs no introduction. You guys all know who he is, but Tony, once again.
I'm the Chief Operating Officer at DR Studios and the course director for the whole of the Train2Game courses. Therefore I'm responsible for what goes in the courses and their constant upkeep.
Excellent. So, format for this evening. We really want to focus this evening on talking about the incubator and the student placement program. So it's the graduate incubator scheme that we're putting together and the student placement program. And I think I'm going to ask Dave just to give you a quick top line on that. We're going to take some live questions. So we have a bunch of live questions coming in from all over via Skype, and we have also a bunch of questions that we've taken off the forum and off Student World. So we're going to be flitting between live questions being asked and questions from Student World. Please feel free to log on, ask us questions via Skype, and we'll attempt to get through as many as we can. Dave, do you want to give us a quick top line on what the student placement program and the incubator scheme is all about?
Yeah, so the two schemes are specifically designed to service two different particular needs. So we've got students that are on the course. They've got a lot of entrepreneurial desires and aspirations, and the incubation course, the incubation scheme, is about providing them with a platform then to launch a new studio and a gaming career and to develop products under their own banner. And it's just an acknowledgement that we've got some people who just feel that that's their main focus and direction. The student placement scheme is a little different. It's about being able to match the top level students, the really kind of students that are making the grade into an existing studio, and giving them an experience of what it's like to be in a studio with somebody like John, you know, and have him chasing you around and, you know, trying to get things done and all that kind of stuff. You can't buy that experience, but you can get that out of a placement. So the placement scheme is about just making sure that those students have the time that they need in a studio and a period of involvement with the game and how it's developed and how the studio works. But they are two purpose-built schemes.
Okay, so hopefully that gives you a quick top line on the incubator scheme and the student placement scheme. I'm going to jump straight into questions. We've got a great question from Shadows on the forum, and it's talking about the incubator scheme. What are the requirements for students to be considered for both the incubator scheme and the student placement program?
With the particular thing about the incubator scheme is that we're trying to match even more kind of new skills into somebody that's already kind of in an educational cycle. So the guys are learning about games development, but I also need them to have the capacity and the maturity to deal with all the business stuff. So there's complex legal issues, financial issues, management issues, operational issues, dealing with third parties, dealing with your own staff, dealing with other studios, dealing with technology providers. So It's a number of things. I mean, we're looking for a well-rounded person educationally. We're looking for a good level of ability. We're looking for a bit of maturity. We're looking for a bit of open-mindedness, a bit of capacity to deal with, you know, soft skills and human resource issues. But I mean, students on the course really need to focus on, you know, the academic side of things, making sure they're clearing all the academic hurdles, and also, you know, establishing their credibility by delivering the best possible portfolio that they can manage.
And so here's a great question. John, perhaps you want to take this one.
Yeah.
How involved, once we get a student onto a placement programme, how involved are the students going to be? What kind of interaction will they have with the studio? Is this really serious?
Well, anyone who comes into a game development studio, they're coming into an active working environment. So it's our job to make computer games. You know, most people who are students have had this idea, this dream of entering our industry. But when you go through the doors of one of our studios, you're entering the reality, which obviously isn't as sugar-coated as a lot of people dream it is. Nevertheless, it can be a great place to be. And I think grasping the reality of what we're doing, you're there to work, you're there to create product alongside other people who will have more experience than you. And we're there to help you become an asset to our team, if you like. So I think that people have got to be prepared to rather than being the top dog student, be prepared to being the bottom of the pile worker, which some people find it hard to adapt to, because all of us have gone through this transition. We went from primary school into senior school, and we could have gone up and then gone down again. It was that same kind of feeling. And what we're looking for is for them just to adapt to putting their current skills into a workplace environment. And at the end of the day, our main focus is actually on their skill, what they can achieve. And we'll try and find the best place to accommodate them within the company at this point, which will depend on what their skills are and where the company is in terms of the projects on the go at the time.
So give us a potted history, a day in the life of a student. What will a student on placement in your studio do? Will he be making creative decisions? Will he be leading the team? Will he be designing the next concept? Or will he be...
Okay, so we give a typical example of what's likely to happen. If someone comes in, we're unlikely to put them in a position where they've got too much responsibility, because making computer games, and everyone must understand this, is a team effort. You know, you're one of a team. There's a football team. You know, you're probably one of the substitutes to put it into some context where you are when you come into the studio. So we've got to find a role for you that works, where you can grow yourself, also where we've used the team, but where it's not going to have too many downsides if you make some bad decisions. So we'd be looking to put you in such, for example, you're unlikely to be formulating the latest design for the new game. You might be asked to come and sit on the table where we're discussing new game concepts, to contribute ideas. You certainly won't be making the final decision. But we might, once we've made those decisions and you had some input, we may then invite you to help assist with level building or with growing the design concepts and the paperwork, testing the games as they come out at the end. Those kind of elements are likely to be involved. For programmers as well, it's quite hard. Programmers, their code's got to sync in with the programmers who are the backbone of the company normally. So whatever code they do, that is going to go in the final product. And it's not an easy task.
When I joined the industry, I actually didn't work on a live project for nearly a year. So I had to gain the trust of everybody else, to show that I could, you know, do it effectively and do it correctly before anybody would actually really let me. And I think it's probably still a little bit like that. You know, you're coming in, people are a bit unsure about you, so you just need to, you know, work your ticket, if you like, and make sure that that everybody can see that you're up to the task and that you can do it reliably and you can be mature and professional, and then you get the chance, right?
I mean, I totally agree with what Dave and John have just said. It's expensive for the students, for the studios to have work placement on board. Therefore, they're looking for these students, these work placement people, to deliver value when they're in the studio. So they're absolutely going to be creating things of value to the studio. However, they're not going to be working on critical path stuff. They're not going to be working on the main core backbone. They'll be working outside of that, where they can be mentored and taught the studio ways. But they are there to work as well as to learn.
And on that point, so Robin via Skype is asking, the incubators and the student placement, will that have an effect on the final grade to the course? One for our course director, I think.
No, it won't. The incubators and work placements are external to the grade of the course. However, it'll have a very, very positive effect on their employability, simply because the employability is going to be down to their ability to demonstrate their skills, their ability, their means of producing value to the student, to the studios. And if they've been on an incubator scheme, they've been on a work placement scheme, then they've actually worked on live projects, and that'll be fantastic portfolio CV stuff.